Let's start with a bold statement. You're probably thinking about time all wrong. I mean, we talk about saving it, wasting it, running out of it, but what if time isn't a thing we can hold or lose? What if it's something else entirely? You know this feeling, right? An incredible vacation just zips by in what feels like a minute, but a 2-hour meeting can feel like an eternity. Well, that's not just your imagination. It's a huge clue. It tells us that our experience of time is tied to the amount of change that's happening, not some clock ticking on the wall.
And this quote, this just nails it. We love this metaphor of time being a river, right? Sweeping us forward. But think about it. The clocks we use to measure time, they don't have a single drop of water in them. They just count. They're tallying things up. Our mission here is to ditch the river metaphor and start taking the counting seriously.
So let's get right into it. The first step is to completely dismantle that picture of time that most of us have in our heads, whether we know it or not. This is the classic image, isn't it? We picture this long string, this timeline of all history, past, present, future, all laid out. And we think of our consciousness, the now, as this little glowing dot moving along that string. It's a simple picture, but it's totally misleading, and it actually causes a lot of confusion. So let's swap out that glowing bead for a way more interesting idea. Now isn't some point on a line. Now is just the name we give to everything that is happening, everything that is changing, all at once. The earth spinning, your heart beating, the sound waves hitting your ear, all of that motion together, that's the present moment. And once we see now this way, it leads us straight to the absolute core concept of this whole idea, and you can sum it up in one really powerful phrase.
And there it is. This is the line to remember. Time isn't the container. It's not the stage where the play happens. Time is the bookkeeping. It's the record, the tally sheet that compares one change to another. It doesn't hold the action, it just measures it.
So let's put these two ideas side by side. The old stage model says time is this big empty box that events move through. But the ledger model, it says nope, there are only events, there's only change, and time is the system we invented to keep track of it all. We aren't moving through time. We are simply changing.
To make this crystal clear, let's use a super simple analogy. Imagine a ruler measuring a road. The ruler has its markings, right? Inches, feet, whatever. It lets you measure distance.
Now, a car can drive down that road. The car's moving. It's changing position. But the ruler? The ruler doesn't go anywhere. The inch marks don't flow down the street. It's just a static measurement tool. And that's the punchline. Time is the ruler. Change is the car. A second doesn't pass by any more than an inch slides down the road. A second is just a mark on our ledger, a unit we use to measure how fast things are changing. Okay, I know what you're thinking. If time is just a measurement, what are all these clocks doing? Well, to prove the point, let's just pop the hood and see how a clock actually works. Turns out, every single clock in existence, from the one on your wall to the one in a satellite, is made of just 3 basic parts. First, you need a repeater, something that does the same thing over and over again, like a pendulum swinging. Second, you need a counter to tally those swings. And third, you need a rule we all agree on, like this many swings equals 1 second. That's it. It's just a machine for counting changes. And if you look at the history of timekeeping, it's just one long quest to find better and better repeaters. We started with the sun's shadow, then we moved to swinging pendulums, then to vibrating quartz crystals in your watch, all the way up to counting the quantum wiggles of an atom. We never found time, we just found more stable changes to count. Okay, so if time is a ledger and clocks are counters, this next part is where things get really wild. This idea doesn't just change how we see time, it changes what it means for anything to be a thing at all. This might just be the most mind-bending sentence we'll talk about. We usually think, there are solid objects in the world, and every now and then they change. But Changism flips that on its head. It says the fundamental reality is change, and things are just what emerge from all that motion. So what is a thing then? It's not a static lump of matter. A thing is just a stable pattern of change. It's a collection of different processes all happening together in such an organized way that they hold a recognizable shape for a little while. Think about a whirlpool in a river. Is it a thing? Not really. It's a stable pattern that the moving water creates. Or a candle flame. It looks like an object, but it's actually just the process of combustion. And here's the kicker, so are you. Your cells are constantly being replaced. You aren't a static object, you are an incredibly complex, self-repairing pattern of change. The pattern is what lasts, not the stuff.
All right, so this has been a pretty deep dive, I know. But what's the real takeaway here? How does seeing time as a ledger actually make a difference in our day-to-day lives?
Well, for one, it can completely reframe things like stress and anxiety. That feeling of, I don't have enough time, makes it sound like you're missing out on some cosmic resource. But the new view? It's way more empowering. It says, my ledger is overbooked. I've tried to schedule more changes than I can possibly handle. And an overbooked ledger? That's a scheduling problem. That's something you can actually fix.
So let's bring it all home and say it one more time, because this is the whole idea in a nutshell. Time is a ledger over change, not a stage that events march across. It's not a river carrying you away. It's the notebook where the story of all that change gets written down.
And that really leaves us with one final powerful question. If you're not just a passenger being swept along by time, but you're actually the one writing in your own ledger of change, what story are you going to write on the next page?